So, James, I'm so happy to see you here because
Thank you.
I'm now embarking on a series of getting to know yous
Okay.
for our audience. Just because I think it's important for people to know what we're trying to achieve at Catapult and who's part of the progress and helping
Absolutely.
us to make this happen. So, you're one of the key people, and I wanted to talk to you to introduce you to people. And why don't we start with you telling us about your musical interest and your musical background, if you don't
Ooh,
mind.
my musical interests. Oh boy, I would say it started when I was a kid. My father used to play records. He used to play a lot of Blue Magic, a lot of R&B, Freddie Jackson, Anita Baker,
Uh-huh.
all these wonderful things I grew up listening to as a kid. And as I got older, I would just became attracted to it. And in grad school, I was a radio DJ for the college radio station. And then I kind of discovered this alternate sound of like neo soul, and that's where guapole we had spoken about at one time. And I'd gotten introduced to guapole and Maxwell and all these really sultry, lovely voices, and it was absolutely amazing. And that kind of
And what sort of genre was that mostly?
it was like a neo soul R&B genre. It was very very smooth, very melodic, very engaging. You
Uh-huh.
know, and I think it just kind of graduated from when I was little and just kind of moved on and got into something more beautiful. I like
Do
to.
you play anything yourself, or did you, or do you sing?
I play. I do sing in the shower constantly, not professionally, but I do play the acoustic guitar. That's been a nice journey. Um, she loves me. Guitar's name is Epinosa.
Uh-huh.
She loves me. I love her, and I'm not sure if she loves me back just as much. But it's a beautiful thing with having an instrument, and I'm not sure. Maybe you can tell me this with vocals is that there are some things I can express with an instrument that I cannot necessarily express with words.
Oh,
And,
definitely. I think that's the
and
whole point of music, that music is, especially instrumental music, it's about what words cannot express.
yeah, yeah, that's fascinating. And as I learned French, and I know you were telling me about you learned Italian, is that not every word translates from one language to another,
Or
which
even
is kind of
concepts.
yeah, which kind of like lets me know that we don't have a word for every emotion that we feel or every
Oh, yeah.
experience that we have, and that's kind of what makes art beautiful. So
Right. Except music can express it.
yeah, it can, and it seems to you can listen to something and it can travel and connect to you almost instantaneously, where you might need a conversation or a story, but with music you can hear the first couple of notes and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah,
what was that?
exactly. What I always say about vocal music, and even especially opera, actually, is that the classically trained human voice is the best conductor of emotions. So it can just go directly to you. If
Yeah,
you've got a great singer, it just immediately your body absorbs it. It conducts these emotions in a way that nothing else can.
absolutely. And that's what turned me on to opera, is
Okay.
now I'm hearing this voice, and it's not I'm not from I didn't grow up being familiar with opera. I wasn't necessarily exposed to it, but the emotion, that's what connected me.
Mhm.
It was the feeling, and particularly we were discussing the glitch before. It was the emotion of this pain.
Well,
It's like,
you were talking about Anita Baker. There's so much emotion in her singing too.
oh, oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, she's something amazing. That's what greatness is. Just being able to communicate that emotion that sort of skips your skin and just goes right to your soul.
Yeah, and it happens so quickly. It
Uh-huh.
happens so quick, like right away. It's almost like I want to say love, right?
Yeah.
It just happens so fast. No one needs to tell you. You don't, it's just wow. It just
Right.
gets
It
connected.
bypasses all those other things. It just goes immediately to those receptors.
The
I used to
layers.
back in the day. I used to coach an R&B singer named Phoebe Snow. Do you know that name?
Phoebe Snow. It sounds familiar, but I don't know if I'm
She she
familiar.
had she wrote something called Poetry Man in the late 70s.
Okay.
That was her platinum recording, and I met her at some gala. Actually, it was the Paul Newman gala for for children with terminal illnesses. Anyways, she was singing on the program, and I was playing for an opera singer, Carolyn Blackwell, and we got to be friends. We got to know each other well, and she decided that she wanted to be able to have a classical technique to keep her voice going forever. So we worked for quite a few years. She died a few years ago, unfortunately, of an aneurysm. But she's this incredible pop singer, but she could sing opera as well as any professional opera singer, because she thought it was important to be able to explore those sort of colors and explore vocal health.
Wow. How do you open up a voice like that that's been used to pop? Like, that's the first thing you tell them to do?
It's not so different. There's some different technical things that you use your body in a different way, in a much more holistic manner. It's not just from here on up. You have to learn to sort of get your ribs open. And when you get your ribs open, it lowers this, and it opens your throat, and it opens up spaces in your head. And so it develops this whole sort of snowball effect of resonance that people usually don't know that they have.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah, isn't it? It's a wonderful thing.
I'm stealing that from you, Neal.
Go ahead. It's really great. Phoebe just wanted to get more colors into her voice, to have more expressive possibility, and she became addicted to it until she was singing incredible Verdi arias and Wagner and such, that she found this incredible mine of resonance within herself that she could use. And you'd actually be very surprised that a lot of opera singers like to sing pop as well. Okay. So in fact, almost all the opera singers I know like to sing pop as well, but not a lot of pop singers like to sing opera as well, because they don't have the exposure to it. It's all communication and communicating emotions, and I think that one just has to find ways to do that. So you have a day job that's not in music, clearly.
Yeah.
And what is that?
Well, I got two day jobs. One day job primarily is running a company called Contract GPS, where I help educational institutions with software and professional development get contracts with New York City. That's one. The other one, my passion, my heart, the emotion, is the speaking, is Enoch Enterprises, where I actually created a course called Streamline Your Success. And it's really about coaching and letting people know some tips and tricks about how to be more productive, more efficient, and really start making that shift to what you need to do towards what you want to do and live a more enhanced, better life.
So it's sort of being a life coach towards sort of giving them the tools for self-empowerment.
Absolutely. I think a life without the tools of self-empowerment is a life not lived to its fullest potential. And that's a tragedy. And I'm trying to stop it one person at a time.
Oh, great. So is this just you, or are you part of a team?
Actually, I have a team. I have a team of three people now, aside from myself, so 4 in total. And I got somebody who works on the ads. I got someone who helps out on the details. I got another person who researches, so we do the structure. It's fun.
Great. How do you find your clients?
Usually online, or they have initially found me because for some strange reason, with the other business being successful, they would ask me, like, how'd you do it? I said, okay, I'll tell you how I did it. And then they're like, well, could you tell me? So I would tell them, and it just kind of referred and snowballed into something else.
Right. So they think, so you sort of give them the tools and say, if I can do something like that, you can too. Absolutely.
If I'm a kid from Left Rock City, South Jamaica, Queens, who can figure out a few things about business, which is primarily about building relationships, and things about myself, which is diving deep into the layers of why do I do what I do and how can I do it better. Anybody can.
Right. And also, well, that's beautiful. And also having a sense of what your goals are too.
Yeah.
And hopefully they align with your authentic self.
Absolutely, hands down. And also, it's so funny, Neal. I had a conversation yesterday, and it was about, like, there's a lot of goals that you might have, but how often do you look at them and you get exposure to them? So, I'm always telling people that if you have a refrigerator, put like a magnet or a whiteboard up. It's really easy, and just write down what it is that you're directing yourself towards. And remind yourself every day, because it's easy for life to get in the way.
And also let it evolve. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Because things can change over time.
And they will. and they will. Like,
because we do.
yeah, I hopefully am not the same person I was 5 years ago. And I think by embracing opera, that's a testament to that, right?
Okay, so tell me how you got exposed to opera and when that happened.
I've gotten actually exposed to opera from a principal in New York City, and he was a huge opera fan. And I was just like, his passion was so, I'm not sure if you ever met someone who was so passionate about something that it like sparks your interest. You're
Yeah,
like,
it's
wow,
infectious.
yes, very much so. And he was telling me about, I love opera. And I said, really? You? He said, yeah. So I went, and he's a principal of a middle school in the Bronx. And I went, and he was exposing the children to music, and he was telling me about the top 5 operas that I should see. And it turned into a conversation that was fantastic about
How
something.
long ago was this?
This was probably, I want to say, about 2 years ago.
Okay, recently.
Yeah, very recently. Then Andy Manchel, he sent the glitch over, and there you have it.
The glitch, meaning that's the first in our series of micro opera video commissions by Catapult, and it's an opera by Nico Muley. And so is the glitch the first opera that you've actually seen?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
Yes.
That's so interesting to me and so wonderful. So that it actually infected you and that you loved it. So what about it appealed to you?
Wow. Oh, that's there's so many aspects to it, because I knew the story, very generally speaking, and first of all, it was 2 things. One, it was a white story with Black actors, right? And I was like,
It's a human story.
Yeah, how bold and risky is this? This doesn't happen in the world. The world is a changing, and here's this company taking a leap forward and like jumping a step ahead of what is acceptable. Let's say acceptable in quotation marks, and saying, I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to invest my time, I'm going to invest my money and my artistry into changing the perspective of what the experience might be. So I watched and I listened.
It's so interesting, because I never thought about changing the perspective. I just thought these are great singers and they have a lot to offer, they can express the story and communicate it.
So how about that, right? That's like, I think that's such an evolved point of view of where we really want society to be. You know, that's where we want to be. But knowing that that's not where we are now, from my perspective, I was like, this is amazing. You know, this is I'm not sure if you know, like they're doing like a Black version of Superman coming up.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, this is what it should be. And this is bold. And it was the boldness that was like, okay, let me see what this is about.
Because it wasn't aimed at any particular audience. It wasn't aimed at Black audiences or white audiences. It was just, it's a human story, and it's out there.
And yeah, but now I'm listening, and I'm listening more than I would have listened before if you gave me, let's say, The Barber of Seville, right?
Right.
So now I'm listening, and now I can relate, and I can listen at a deeper level. And I heard the pain. I heard the 2 actors going at each other, and the dynamics of when someone hurts you and you want to hurt them back, and what's the easiest way to hurt somebody back that hurts you is to use your words.
Right.
And it was this back and forth conflict that I was totally loved it.
The composition is so wonderful, and the text is so wonderful too, that they're real people. You can feel that it all rings true, and we can relate to it
completely. And
even though we're in situations that hopefully we'll never be in. We'll never be imprisoned.
I hope not. I hope
yeah,
not.
Exactly.
I don't plan on helping any prisoners escape.
Exactly.
Or having affairs with them, but yeah, and it was a part of a story that wasn't told, right? No one, at least I didn't dig into those details. And what was that conversation like? What happened behind the closed doors that we may not know? Not the media, but the people. And the voices, a lot strong, Strong,
gorgeous and strong. As I said,
strong.
they're able to communicate the emotions of these people,
Yeah,
and as well as the words, the emotions behind the words.
yeah, yeah. And I don't care what background you come from or who you are. If you can put your eyes on it and you can put your ears on it for a little bit, you're going to feel it and you're going to feel something. And isn't that what art's about?
Mhm. You just
Feeling.
have to be open to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's I got open in my way, right?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, you do have to be open to it, but you'll feel it once you do open to
Oh,
it.
that's so beautiful. That's when you express these sentiments to me, I said, I need this man to be behind me and actually to be working with me, not behind me, but to be working with me, because I think it's really important that for opera to succeed, we've got to broaden our audiences and
Sure.
find all new audiences, people like yourself who've not been exposed before, but are not afraid to be exposed,
Right.
and don't have the barriers, or if they do have the barriers, how to get through those barriers.
Right. Um, the barrier of has always been there is that opera is this hoity-toity, elite white venue expense. It's just it was this whole stereotypical ideal that most people probably carry around what it is.
Mhm.
And having that quick 13-minute exposure, it completely shattered every idea,
Preconception.
preconception I had. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why my idea about developing new audiences involves bringing operas to them, and that means having them available on the internet and having video micro operas, so that you don't have to give up 3 hours of your evening. You can have these 15 to 20-minute experiences, and having it available to people whenever they've got to the time, after they put their kids to sleep, whatever, before they've had their coffee in the morning, whatever. So I think that's a really important thing, to reach out to people and give them something on their own terms.
Yeah. I do believe, Neil, that, and I'll share the story with you. And I thought about it before we were discussing, talking today. My father would go into the shower, right? And he would sing in the shower. And he would go, "Oh, solo mio." I don't even know what he was saying. I don't even know if that's really Italian. But he's singing in the shower, and I'm thinking back, well, that was exposure. That was exposure, right? And what really happened is that when I got the glitch and I got that the catapult, it was a trusted person kind of walking me through the door.
Your dad.
No, 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 no. This is Andy now. The
Your other
exposure
friend.
was with my father, right?
Right.
And now a trusted person says, "Hey, check this out. It's okay." And when you get that, that barrier breaks down and say, "Hey, it's okay," then you can listen. And it's like we are exposed, and I think a lot more people are exposed, but we're not sure if it's safe to go in yet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So you need someone to hold your hand and go.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I need to develop a whole network of hand holders over time. That's really, really important to me, because for opera to succeed, it can't be all rich old white people, because the rich old white people are dying and their kids aren't interested
Right.
in opera too. So I think this is really the way forward, is to open it up to to people who are open to new experiences, and to
Absolutely.
the power of communication, and the power of the human voice
Mhm.
is what I'm after. And also, as you know, after this, virtually all of our operas that we're commissioning are from people outside of the classical music world. So that's another barrier I'm breaking down. So as I said, R&B people, rock and roll people, all these things that other listeners might be used to hearing, that's a vocabulary that they're experienced with. So I think that's already breaking. I'm trying to break down barriers to get people to feel where there's lines of intersection between opera and what they already know.
Absolutely. And I would be more than happy to help
Well,
with that process. It would be a joy and an absolute pleasure and honor to do
thank you.
that, to help.
I'm honored to have you
expand.
as part of our team.
Thank you.
It's
Expand the emotion.
it's really great. So let's work hand in hand with this. And also, as I've said to you, I think it's really important that you're there to help me stay real, to instead of, because it's very easy for me to go off into artsy land
Okay.
and just what I'm familiar with and what I've grown up with as a person of privilege. And I want to be breaking down barriers rather than putting up walls.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's a noble endeavor, and again, I'm happy, and if you can tell from our reactions, I don't really hold back,
I love that.
and it's like, hey, this is my truth, and I'm sharing it with you, and I'm glad you're receptive to it, so I appreciate it, and again, it kind of goes back to, I feel like you're ahead of the curve, right? And being ahead of the curve comes with its challenges, comes with its criticisms. But when things start to manifest the way that they're supposed to, you'll be leaps and bounds behind the people behind you.
Well, thank you. I'm actually not so aware of what the curve is. I'm just doing what I feel needs to be done.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm really appreciative that you're going to be part of it with me. And so thank you so much for your time. This is really fantastic. I think you're a wonderful man, and let's just continue together and keep feeding me with ideas and criticisms and whatever you think is appropriate.
Oh, sounds good. If there's one thing I know, it's the Black experience.
That's great. So let's.
23 years in.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
No problem.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too, Neal.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.